myself, I'm made well the taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many a man's soul and faith. I was round when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands, sealed his fate. Is to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Oh yeah. But what's puzzling you is just the nature of my game.
7 years into the marriage, I'm in my 30s at this point, and I was ready to start a family. We had the conversation about kids. We both wanted kids, and I went to him and I was like, I'm ready to start a family. And he was like, you know what, I don't think I want kids anymore. Well, that was non-negotiable to me, because I would have never married him if he didn't want kids, because I wanted more than anything to be a mom.
Now, making her motivation for mothers never give up video, Stacy is discussing how her and her ex were married 7 years. They discussed having kids prior to their marriage, and now she's ready to settle down and have a family. But all of a sudden, his interest has changed, and now he does not want kids at that time. So she says, in her own words, that's non-negotiable now. She would have never gotten married if that was the case. But and that's her prerogative. But people do change. Things change in marriages, unfortunately, okay? So either they discuss it maturely like a couple, or they separate. It's just they have different interests now. All right? So let's listen to what Stacy decides to do.
And I said, listen, I'm going off my birth control. We'll just see what happens. He didn't really say anything. He just was like, whatever.
So instead of discussing and making a plan like a married couple should, or if they have different interests now and she's not respecting his and he doesn't respect hers, they divorce. Her reaction is, you know, I'm going to go off, tell him I'm going to go off my birth control pills. And he says, whatever. All right. If you cannot see the writing on the walls, that spells disaster. All right. It's disaster waiting to happen. So we're going to find out exactly what does happen.
And I got pregnant right away. And to be honest, that started the downward spiral of our relationship. He started to resent me. I walked through that pregnancy by myself. It was a very, very lonely time for me.
Of course he resented you. It was a one-sided pregnancy. He told you he did not want kids. I have no clue why, but maybe he was not mentally ready at that time to have kids, but that wasn't an option for you. So what did you basically, it was a one-sided pregnancy. You told him you were going off your pregnancy pills, and he was just like, whatever. That means he did not care. Something was going on with him. Who knows? But whatever the case may be, of course it was a disaster waiting to happen. Are you that fucking retarded? Obviously. I mean, he probably knew you were going to be a shitty ass mother and he wanted no part of it. I mean, who knows?
And I thought, well, maybe once she came, things would change and our relationship would get better. And that just didn't happen. She was born and things actually got worse. I started working day shift. He was working night shift. And we were just spending more time apart. He was going out on the weekends with his friends. And when my daughter was, I think she was 3 or 4, I found out that he had been having an affair with one of the nurses that he was working with. And that just rocked my world upside down.
Well, obviously I don't agree with them having an affair, so, I mean, he definitely should have divorced you prior to that because I don't believe in extramarital affairs. But the fact is, I mean, the marriage was dissolved prior to the pregnancy. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Just in your words, I can tell that the guy did not love you anymore, and that shit happens. And the fact that you all of a sudden thought it was just going to magically, the relationship was just going to magically get back to bliss because you got pregnant. That doesn't happen. All right. You basically got pregnant on your own choice, not his. But the fact is, now you guys both had a child together, and that child was involved in your guys' chaos.
You guys, it was awful. It was one of the most difficult times I had ever gone through in my life. You know, I didn't want divorce. I didn't want to raise this little girl in a broken home. I didn't want to be a statistic. You know, over 50% of marriages end in divorce. That's terrible. And I didn't want to be one of those people. And so we tried counseling and tried to make it work, but he stopped going to counseling. He never stopped seeing the girl. And so I finally ultimately made the decision to file for divorce and leave.
So finally, it's been a long time coming, but you guys finally got the divorce. He's with his new wife, you're going your separate ways, but the fact remains you guys have a responsibility to be responsible parents to that daughter. All right? But we already see your your present parenting skills, Stacy. Now we're going to expose your past ones. We're going to expose exactly what you and Christopher did to this poor, innocent child of yours.
All right, the third event I want to share with you is probably the most difficult event I've ever had to go through, and that was a very ugly, long, drawn-out custody battle that I had with my ex-husband. Everything was fine when it was just my daughter and I, and there was not another guy in my life. But as soon as another guy came into my life and I ended up getting married, all hell broke loose.
Gee, there's many things that I know why hell broke loose, and we're going to document them now. One, your husband finally found out that Christopher was a gay porn star, all right? But even then, even when he found out, he still, in a documented text, said he does not care about Christopher's gay porn past. The fact is, Christopher's trying to brainwash his daughter into making it sound like he could be her new father instead of him. Then everyone and their moms and unborn children in people's wombs knew Christopher was on steroids. He had them in the house. The dad did not like the steroids in the house. The dad did not like Christopher's aggressive, uh, angry attitude that steroids give. And Christopher still, to this day, says he never was doing steroids. All right. Those are just a couple things why hell broke loose. But we're going to dive even more why hell broke loose. He was caught repeatedly talking to Stacy's then 8-year-old daughter about rape and other sexual topics. Christopher was caught watching gay porn where Stacy's daughter and other children in house could see of his then ex-business partners. Christopher and Stacy's home had search warrants issued multiple times by court. Christopher has been doing ASEAN networking pyramid schemes, scamming people for 9 years. Stacy cashed out her retirement fund to hide it from her ex-husband and gave it to Chris for their pyramid scam business. Stacy and Chris were evicted from numerous homes. Chris was caught lying in court about owning a car, about having a valid driver's license while driving a car, among other things he lied about. So now we're going to read a couple paragraphs from Chris's book that he wrote that looks like basically a fifth grader wrote it for an English assignment. But anyway, we're going to read it anyway from this paragraph. On Monday, April 18th, 2016, we had an unexpected visit at our home by the local police. They had an emergency court order in their hands to physically take Stacy's daughter Reese away from us immediately. Not one of us knew that was going on. The police had no explanation. They said they had to obey orders. Reese was kicking and screaming at the top of her lungs, which was bullshit. She wasn't, begging the police officers not to take her away again, which it's all bullshit. The two police officers felt terrible for Reese that they called their sergeant and begged him to not take her away, but he said they had to. Well, of course, it's all bullshit. Christopher and Stacy always want to play the victim. and that Reese was bawling, Stacy was bawling, and I was getting ready for war. Listen to what he said. And I was getting ready for war. What war? She's not your child. And the reason, what war? Why did the court come in and get her? Why did the court grant her ex the emergency order? Because you guys kidnapped her. You guys kept her from her father, her own father. You guys did it. You guys want to talk and tell all this bullshit lies how the dad kidnapped her for almost a year and you guys couldn't see her. That makes no sense. The police came to your house, okay? They didn't go to his house to get her. They came to your house because you guys kidnapped her, okay? And you would not let the dad see it. So the dad filed an emergency order. And again, all that stuff, we're going to dive into exactly everything that came out, okay? So after you say you're going to war, it says, at our hearing, a man stepped on the witness stand and told every lie he could about me. That's basically, he said, talking about her ex and how he lied about her. While he was under oath, listen to what Christopher said in his fifth grade little book that he wrote. He said I was a child rapist, which I don't believe you were, but I don't know if that's exactly what he said. I think they talked about how you talked to her daughter about rape and sexual innuendos. It says he said I was a gay porn star. Well, you were. You are. You did. You did gay porn. You did gay escorting. You did gay prostitution. You want to say it was in your book, you said it was females, but there's no way in hell you're going to convince anybody because you did gay porn. You lied about that. You talked about, well, all women and I was a stripper. No. You did gay stripping. You did gay porn. You did gay prostitution, okay? He says I was extremely violent in the book. This Christopher said I was extremely violent, dangerous, and a threat to society because of all the steroids I was pumped up on. Again, that's true. I, I mean, anybody in their right mind knows you're swimming in the denial river, and you still to this day claim you never did steroids. Jesus Christ, man! And you think this is going to be court worthy? Of course you can't admit to gay porn now because you're in the midst of a child. Of course you can't admit to steroids because you're in the midst of a child. But you are. It says every single word he said was a lie from the pit of hell. The magistrate completely ignored our attorney. Well, of course, because you filled your attorney with all kinds of lies that you didn't do gay porn and that you didn't do steroids and all kinds of other shit. It says we walked out of the courtroom that day feeling like we had been raped, we had been betrayed, we had our legal rights stripped away from us. Stacy's daughter would not be coming home. Of course, she wasn't coming home. You can look at all the shit you did, and we're gonna dive into even more shit. It says, as of this writing, currently Tuesday, July 4th. Keep that date in mind. Stacy and I have made zero progress in the court system. Since the case began over a year ago, we have gathered one piece of evidence after another to prove that we are 100% innocent. Oh, whoa, so did her ex-husband. He gathered the evidence, and I got the evidence from the court documents. All right, and that we are 100% that our accuser is guilty of everything he accused of us. Oh man, all right. 30th, 2017. Christopher and Stacy Mitchell tried kidnapping her daughter from a public place in which she was in the presence of her stepmother and stepsister. After the stepmom, stepsister, and her daughter ran outside and into the stepmom's car, Christopher used his car to block them in. To block them in. The police were called. Upon arriving, Christopher began yelling obscenities towards the police and then towards Stacy's ex-husband upon his arrival. After refusing to follow police orders to calm down, Christopher was arrested. This was the second time Stacy and Christopher tried kidnapping their daughter from her ex-husband's possession. And here's the details of that arrest.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You're too bad, you're too rude, you're too bad, you're too rude, yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you chuck it on me. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
So everybody seeing the big picture now? Like I said, this isn't my first rodeo dealing with scammers. Stacy was court-ordered to pay her ex-husband $65,000 of her retirement fund, in which she cashed out, didn't pay him, gave it to Christopher to embezzle into their new ACM pyramid scam business. Stacy illegally, let me emphasize that word again, illegally obtained nude pics of her ex-husband's new wife and attempted to blackmail her ex-husband with them in order to regain custody of her daughter. And how did she illegally do this? Her ex-husband gave his daughter his old phone and he cleared out all the data. Stacy took the phone, went to the carrier. How she got the data, I have no idea, but she got the data and got the pics. And when her ex rejected, Stacy then sent the pics to his ex-wife's new employer and her family, prompting a criminal charge against Stacy of pandering and extortion, which was eventually later dropped. Again, it's on court documents. It's out there for those that know how to get it. And this trash bag old hag pretends to be a Christian, pretends to be a vegan, pretends to start this YouTube channel, Motivation for Moms, Never Give Up video. What's her definition of never give up? Like never give up trying to kidnap your young daughter, impressionable daughter that could distort her life forever? So for all Christopher Mitchell's newest followers, believers, subs, and retarded customers, there you have it. His arrest and court records. Getting arrested for trying to kidnap Stacy's daughter after they lost custody, after he withdrew his court case for junction, and especially after he was court ordered to stay away from Stacy's daughter. It's all right there, black and white. Anybody can look it up again. And then you have Stacy Mitchell illegally getting information from her daughter's phone that her father gave her, all right, and deleted to try to hacked in, got the information from the phone company to try to blackmail Stacy's ex-husband's newest wife. All right, trying to use this information to get custody of Reese again, in which a criminal pandering charge was levied against her, and which was later dropped. All right, and those again, we have so much more court documents and all kinds of stuff. All right. And then some of you are probably wondering, well, what about that? Where'd you get that Motivations for Mom? Where's that channel at? Well, as you can see here, there's the video. And as we scroll up, there you have it. Stacy Mitchell's Motivation for Moms. And then it was hijacked by Christopher Mitchell 1 year ago, when his other channels, Change Your Life Vlog, got terminated for scams and deceptive practices, and Christopher Mitchell's second channel, Christopher Mitchell, was terminated. And you're wondering, why is it taking so long to get rid of this one? Because again, he hijacked Stacy's account, so it's going to take a little bit longer, but again, it will be terminated. All right. And as you can see here, or continue to scroll up, all the Christopher Mitchell hijacked. And you're wondering, like I said, where's the Motivation for Mom channel? What happened to that? And as we scroll up, it became Christopher Mitchell's third channel. And again, his first channel right here, Change Your Life Vlog, terminated due to severe violations of against spam, deceptive practices, and misleading content. Then Christopher Mitchell's second channel, same thing, terminated. And then you got his Patreon account, terminated, under review, which later was terminated. So again, everything's got coming out. This was 2 years ago. If you guys scroll down in my videos, you'll see this, all of it. Court documents, arrest records, everything. A lot more coming out. All right. So with that said, stay tuned for the next video, and have a great night. Next video will be the no proof of his gambling wins. Take care.